no one should be discriminated against or oppressed for being fat or being who they are, but also that no one is exempt from this quote unquote unhealthiness. That all of us are in some way, some form unhealthy. And in fact, I think that like that's something that I am, and a lot of fat folks are like kind of like reclaiming, because it's like, first of all, girl, I may be unhealthy, but I'm disabled. So there are certain things I can't fix about my body, because if I do, I risk death. In fact, I read a statistic where, I forget the number, but there was a high number of people who risk death to lose weight.
Oh yes.
Like,
if you don't remember, it was a appeal going around several years. My aunt actually won a lawsuit with them. I think it was Fin. Yes, it was Fin. Yes, you remember Fin? No, see, you young, but Fin was a drug to help you lose weight, and it had like some bad ass side effects, and they had to pay out coin for it. They had to pay out some coin for it. My aunt, she won. In her lawsuit, she won a lot of money, and she ended up dying from breast cancer. But I think that saying that we care about someone's health is bullshit. I think it's complete bullshit. And even if a person is fat and you're seeing them as unhealthy as far as physical, they might be good mentally. But the fact that you cannot see that, you're already judging them just off there. I think people are like, I don't know if we've even been taught, or when did it change, or when did we get to the point, I think we did talk about that, where, we're seeing fat people as undesirable, and we're not seeing them as human, because a while back, fatness was looked at as like, virgin, healthy. Like, look at all these pictures and stuff. We have Mona Lisa and all these, other sculptures and stuff. These folks had pudges. Like, they were fat in the face and fat in the waist, and these were fat white people.
Yeah, I'm not an art theorist or an art historian.
I'm not either.
But
I don't work at an art museum.
The little bit of knowledge that I do have just from taking an art class at Morehouse and just doing my own like personal studying, fatness, I think even when you look at these sculptures that you're talking about, with like, and these pictures like with the Mona Lisa and other Greek European sculptures and artwork, even with a lot of those, like those women, because it usually is always women, the men are never usually fat. Mm-hmm. They were usually sculpted in a particular way,
even if it wasn't what they truly looked like.
Like, I think with the women, there was a specific.
Fertility was the word I want to use.
Oh, okay. There was a specific like, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but there was a specific like thing that they would do to women's bodies, and praise them for it. So like, I guess what I'm trying to get at in fewer words is that fat women, fat people were not necessarily ever really desired, because colonialism has taught us that fatness is not desirable, that fat people cannot be desired. So there was a certain like praise offered to fat people, fat women specifically, but they weren't really fat. They weren't like these like,
they were thick. With two C's.
They were thick with two C's, right? They weren't really fat. And maybe in that point in time they were fat. Again, I'm not an art theorist. I'm not an art historian. Don't drag me. But what I do know is that like, even for those time periods, there was a specific, I guess, like a specific look that people were supposed to fit, and that a lot of times the women that were praised, who were drawn like that, or who were sculpted in that way, were not lifted up in ways that were, I guess, like countering culture. So it's interesting. It's definitely interesting. I know that in Africa, a lot of tribes in different countries would celebrate and uplift black fat folks. Like that was a thing. That was like something that we celebrated, which is why I understand colonialism is what has taught us to, in a sense, to not look at fatness as normal, as acceptable, as common.
Period.
Nothing left to say, like,
Period.
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 That's what you
Period.
mean. Period.
Period.
The kids are stealing my energy. They're stealing my energy. Why are y'all stealing my energy? So when I say stealing my energy, I feel like as a fat black queer man that people rely on my energy, and they throw things on me. They what is it? What is it when somebody just throw, like you're having a conversation and they're just throwing all of their like shit they got going on in their life? I don't know if because am I like a therapist? Do I look like a therapist or some shit?
Yes.
Am I the big-breasted therapist?
Yeah.
Why is that? Why do we see? Does it have something to do with us seeing like quote unquote like mammies take care of white kids or some shit?
Correct. That's what I was about to say. So I actually wrote about this and had this conversation with my friends, because I'm still trying to think of a word that is specific to black queer men and AMAB or assigned male at birth folks.
What's AMAB?
AMAB or assigned male at birth folks.
Oh, okay. I didn't know. I have to ask.
Well, I said it after I said it. It's okay.
My brain will keep up.
I am an AMAB person because I'm non-binary, but I'm assigned male at birth and then read as man, and therefore I've included myself in that. So anyway, I'm saying that there needs to be a word that mimics or I guess mimic is a good word there. Mammy, that is specific to us, because mammy is specific to dark-skinned fat black women, and I don't think that's something we should co-opt. But I do think that there is a specific people want to use us and our like because that's our only, to them that's all we're valuable for. Ooh. That we don't have any, we're not desirable enough for them to fuck away their feelings with us. We're publicly. We're not desirable enough for them to actually pay us to work through their feelings. So instead, they'll drain us, they'll use us. And a lot of times it's unconscious or it's subconsciously. Like they don't even know that they're doing that, but because they've been taught for so long or like socialized to believe that fat, dark-skinned black people are not desirable, they use us, because the only thing that we have value in is our labor, and consequently
and comfort,
right? But in that same breath, people think that fat people are not good for labor, and that because when they see fat bodies, when they see people with fat bodies, they think that that we're lazy, that we are incompetent, that we are unable to work. And
so unintelligent as well?
I don't think that they think we're unintelligent. I think that all they think is that we are intelligent, because, and that I think I guess is subjective. But I think that in a lot of cases they think that we are intelligent, and that is all that we are. I know for myself.
As soon as you said that, I started thinking about cartoons where I've seen like him being like, usually the fat character is normally
goofy,
like, and dumb.
It's funny, yeah.
Yeah.
But then I think about
unintelligent. I'm not gonna say dumb.
Thank you. I think about Fat Albert.
Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah, he was dark skinned.
He was dark skinned. This fat, dark skinned man who was very intelligent, but Fat Albert's his whole role was to be comedic, was to be funny, and was to take care of everyone else, even when he was dying. Right, like like towards the end of the movie, he was literally fading away. His character was beginning to die, and he still felt the need to have to take care of these other people to make sure their lives were in order before he jumped back into the television. And that, I think, is the reality for so many fat, dark-skinned black people, specifically women, specifically queer folks, is that we are we're taught that we are supposed to always take care of everyone else, even when we're dying, when we are neglecting our own selves, as a way to I guess make up for the fact that we are not desirable.
There we go.
And I think that is a major part of that.
Yeah, because I shared recently on For the Culture podcast this past episode that came on Wednesday. I think it's the title of it is, I can't think of the title off the top of my head. But in this episode, I shared in my message that it was a message specifically to me, that I think I do things for certain people for them to love me. Like I specifically help folks out so they can have some type of feelings or something towards me. Like, because I know that you probably don't see me as this. And that's not even as someone I'm sexual with. It's friends. Like, I might not be a good image around you, but I can make you laugh. And I think people know that. And I've had guys reach out to me, and I've had people, friends and stuff, gravitate towards me because they're literally just sucking my energy, and they don't want anything from me. They don't want to give anything. They just want to take it, and it comes with a lot. And now that I think about that, I think about my mother, who is also fat and dark skinned, how she's always been the caregiver in the family, because I get that from her. It just makes me look at things completely like different, knowing that there's been research and stuff done and proving these things. We already know that colorism exists and all that, but I don't think, like you were talking the other day, we were saying that not only are you fat, but you're dark skinned as well. So you're adding on two things, and not someone who might be wheelchair bound. Like, that's adding on even more, things. And it makes me just look at how we view people, period, because I think when we say desirable, like, it doesn't necessarily mean date. I've been denied jobs based off of what I look like. And I know that for a fact. There was a campaign that I was supposed to be a part of that was going to be, talking about HIV prevention, because I've been doing a little work in it for like 2 years now. And someone reached out and they said, hey, you have a platform as well. We want to include you in this. They had me as the host at first. Then they said, oh, girl, you're going to have a co-host. And then they went from having me to be co-host. They made me co-host to, oh, girl, you'll just be the person interviewing people. And I was like, how am I supposed to do this? And you let me know I don't even have all the equipment and stuff to make this stuff happen. The person they had chose to be the host was a lighter skinned male. He was tall, he was masculine, and he was gym body. And immediately I didn't want to say that, because I know if I would have said he got picked because he's more desirable, first of all, I was like, oh, you're just jealous. But when I think about it, I said, no, I was denied because I went and researched this person to see if they did anything in the community when it came to talk about prevention, HIV, and anything, and they never did. This was their first time. But he was allowed to come in with no knowledge versus my knowledge. But the fact that they were seen as desirable, they were looking at him like, he's going to bring the people in. So that's what we need to be concerned about. But at the same time, can they keep the people in? There it is.
One more time, boy.
Think you ever been discriminated on a job or denied a job because of your appearance or whatever?
So I know, like, we talked about this the other day. So for a long time, I wasn't able to work because of my heart condition. So my first job was when I was 17 in high school, the summer before my senior year. So I was 16 going on 17. And I haven't had a job since then because I've been unable to work. Or I will say I haven't had a formal job since then. I've worked since then, but it has not been formal. And so it wasn't until recently when I was applying for a job, now that I'm finally able to do some type of formal work. And I don't want to say that I was denied because of what I look like, but I don't imagine that anyone that applied for this specific position was that they had as many credentials as I did. This specific job was something that I've been doing for the last few years that I am well versed in, that I have a lot of like credentials in. My resume is packed with this. Like, I don't imagine there was someone who was more qualified for this position than I was.
That's how I feel.
And so I think a lot of times we try to not really assign that to these jobs, especially for this job. This job was centered around social justice, and so I don't really. I like to think that people are centering folks who exist furthest on the margins. But what I also know is that they probably aren't. And what I know is that a lot of folks, even in social justice spaces, they really don't want to do the work today. A lot of folks, even in social justice spaces, don't really think of fatness as existing on an axis of oppression. They don't think of anti-fatness as an actual thing beyond quote unquote body shaming or fat shaming. And so I think that a lot of folks, be it subconsciously or not, discriminate against us with jobs, and that's something that we oftentimes can't even name as a thing because of that, and even because of the law that I mentioned earlier, with there only being one state out of 50 states in the U.S. that have laws to protect you from being fired or from not being hired for a job in the U.S.
That is some really. You said the only state that does is Michigan. I'm wondering why is that?
Which is a Republican state, so I actually am not sure.
Yeah, because Georgia is a work at will state. They will fire your ass for anything. So I know they damn sure not gonna give a fuck about somebody who's fat. They're gonna like, girl, you don't get your ass out of here. You can't keep up.
They claim that's exactly what they claim. They claim that you put them at risk because you are at a risk of developing a chronic illness that could slow you down from work, or that your weight stops you from keeping up with the rest of the work.
And usually these jobs are selling people products and stuff that makes them like, oh my gosh, probably gives them chronic illnesses and things. But what is it that you think that we need to like? What is it that you would like for people to take away from this? What is our solution for people? I'm thinking what I want to tell folks who are subconsciously looking at someone automatically as fat and denying them, because I know it happens. I know it. People are literally taking pictures, recording fat people just existing. Aries Spears, a tired ass, fucking late individual who used to be on Mad TV, late boots, came at Ashley and tweeted a picture of her. I shared it with you all, and basically just saying, what would you do? And just being a head ass, just saying, oh, I wasn't saying anything, y'all doing it, but we know exactly where you're going, so don't play us like that. We know what time we live in, we know what the fuck the conversation is. And I've seen people literally record people who are fat just walking around doing whatever. Like, I should be able to wear what I want to, and you're not going to tell me that I cannot do this. But what is it that we need to tell these folks who are doing it, they don't realize it? What is it? And I want people to listen. I don't want people to come in and say automatically, for me, I don't want people to say, well, you need to do this, you need to lose weight, you need to do that, and maybe that's not the conversation. Because some people, if we even going by that, they need to be quote unquote healthy. Some folks might not be able to do it because of health reasons, and you don't know unless you're looking at the goddamn chart. Your ass ain't their doctor. So,
and even if they are their doctor, the doctor might be going by the anti-fat biases too.
Listen, so there's that. So we're going to scrap that shit. So I want you to listen when fat people are talking the same way that we did not listen to Monique when she was telling her situation and she explained what was going on, and we immediately turned her into a meme and laughed and shit. And at all we said that she was this and that, but at this whole time, Monique had receipts to show the shit that she was going through was real.
And has had receipts for the last 8 years.
And has
Monique has been talking about this for the last 8 years.
Yeah, but she has. So, since you're drinking your sweet tea, what tea are you going to share with the girls and let them, the girls, the boys, everybody, let them know? Listen, everybody. Okay, all of them. What is it that we want to tell them? Besides, I've said they need to listen. What do you say?
I mean, I guess I think listen is a great a good part of that. I think it's a good start. I think another good start is beginning to reckon with the ways in which anti-fatness shows up in your own personal lives. Mm-hmm. Like people, like being more cognizant of that. Like I think when 2014 rolled around, a lot of folks had to really begin to reckon with how anti-blackness and racism and anti-black racism showed up in their lives. Mm-hmm. And that has gotten us to a point today where a lot of folks are more well versed on anti-blackness and racism and anti-black racism. Mm-hmm. I think the same is true for misogyny and sexism. The same is true for a lot of other systems of oppression that at least are being brought to the forefront. At least people are having conversations around that. Mm-hmm. I think that too should be true with anti-fatness. People being cognizant of how they are being anti-fat as they maneuver throughout life each day, or how maybe they aren't being, but how a specific company is portraying this particular product, or how someone who is standing at the front of a company's workplace looks a particular way, or
I've
how
never seen a fat woman on the box of the hair thing. I've never seen a fat man on the hair box thing.
What type of relationships people are existing in as they're walking throughout the world, like just being aware of what exactly is happening around them. And I think that should lead them to doing more work around ending anti-fatness and how they can be aware of that, and also like people who are on social media following folks like Ashley and like Fat Femme and like your fat friend and like myself. We do love Fat Femme because we are doing that work.
I see you in New York, sis.
Fat activists are doing that work. We've been doing that work, and I think that the conversation should not begin and end with fat people. There needs to be folks who are not fat who are also engaged in that conversation. So I think that's my advice.
Listen, that's all our fat asses have for you all today. We about to take our ass and go get some fat cheeseburgers and shit. Now that we've had but seriously, I think we do need to understand that we need to see fat people as human. I am human, and I'm more than just a therapist. I'm more than just a campaign for you to say that you do have fat friends. I appreciate you all so much. And to the next episode of In the Middle, we'll talk y'all later.